Hey everyone, and welcome to the first MidBoss Dev vlog thing stuff. People have been asking me to do like dev vlogs of my deving with vlogging, and so this is the first one. Um, I'm just gonna show you around a few things that I've made and um, tell you a bit about my thought process while I was making them. This is the title screen. You've kind of missed like what came before this, but it has like you hit any key and it goes into the title screen. So when I hit the Fraps record button, it just goes right into this. Sorry, you're not gonna see that. You see the frame rate in the menu is nice and high, which is actually like a third of what it normally is. Thanks, Fraps. The menu mostly works. I mean, this doesn't do anything, and there's no save it yet, so that doesn't do anything. But there's, an entire options screen. You can change the volume, set full screen, VSync. Even though that's broken on my computer, I don't know what the hell that's about, but whatever. That's a mono game thing. That's not my fault. It's not my fault. Anyway, you can turn this on and off, and smooth shadows. I'm gonna show that later. Key rebinding. If you want to unbind a key, you hit the little X. If you want to bind a key, you click on this, and you press a key, and ta-da! And this, saves when you go in and out of the menu. So that's all working. That's pretty good. Let's go into a new game. And yeah, I'm like off the map because I haven't really set the player position yet. Okay, so we're now on the map, and you can see there's no collision yet, so I'm just kind of going through walls, but whatever. So what I've done here is like people are saying when they see this stuff, like, ooh, dynamic lighting, which is kind of true and kind of not. In the old version of MidBoss, you had lit tiles that were your field of vision. You had dark tiles like this, which were outside of your field of vision, but you've been there before, so you know what it's like. And you had completely black tiles, which are currently missing, which was unexplored territory. I haven't coded that in, but that would be like a piece of cake to do. Actually, I'll probably do that after this video. But I figured it might be nice to make it like a light radius in which you can see stuff. And I'm gonna turn off smooth shadows for a second so you can more clearly see what's going on here. So let me find a better vantage point. Okay, well, you can see that like the lighting tapers off per tile, and actually smooth lighting uses this exact same lighting. The only thing it does is it renders the lighting into a different surface, which is lower resolution, and then it performs a Gaussian blur? I'm not sure if I'm saying that correctly. I've read it like a million times. I've never pronounced it out loud. Anyway, it blurs it, and then it just, blends it over the screen. I have a bit of a cold. Excuse me. You might notice that the levels are slightly zanier looking. That's because it's pretty much the same kind of level generation I was using before, but before basically a dungeon is created by having a grid of cells. So this room is one cell, and then it plots a path through it, and it makes some branches, and then you've got your dungeon. In the old version, every cell was a room. So this is a room, but now there's a 50% chance that a cell won't contain a room. Right now I'm calling that a corridor, and a corridor will have one basic connection point, which is probably where I'm standing, and nothing else. So when it starts connecting the cells with hallways, it just goes from a connection point in one cell to a connection point in the other cells. Now, another thing that's new is it used to just go from the center to the center in the old version. So you got a lot of, uninteresting hallways. Right now, the corridors are one point. Otherwise, the various hallways might not line up and you might get blocked in. But a room can have a random connection point. So you can see there's a hallway leading here and one leading in here. So you get these interesting thingies. You can also see that it's an isometric perspective, so I had to do some wall shortening. I'm not sure because I get the feeling that it can kind of look a bit confusing. Although it shouldn't ever impact your gameplay. What it's doing right now is it's checking any tile you can see. If a wall might obscure that tile, then the wall is made short. So might experiment a bit with that to change that later on. What else have we got? Well, there's the user interface. So your health bar, your mana bar. This is actually working. It doesn't have any data to go off of yet, but I could empty it and fill it and stuff, so that's cool. Over here is your basic stats. There's the portrait of your current form, which is, same as this. And then there's 5 XP baubles here and 5 XP baubles here. The orange ones, because they're the color of your imp, are your normal XP. So if this fills up one more, then you'd get a level and you'd be able to add stats. The bottom one is, the purple one is your current form. And if that fills up, then you unlock more abilities in your current form, obviously. I'm not sure if an imp form is going to give you abilities if you level it up, but, the idea is there. So yeah, dungeons look slightly more interesting. I do want to add stuff like doors. Might be a bit tricky, I'm not sure. But definitely going to add doors, actually. I also want to add special rooms and furniture. So, this might be a torture room or something, or have a fountain. I don't know, stuff like that. Obviously, I have no art for it yet, but that's going to happen. Then over here, there's the combat log. It's kind of hard to see. Hang on, let me go here. Okay, you can kind of see where it extends right now. I intend to have this resizable and movable eventually, because if I pick a spot for the log, it's just never gonna be able to please everyone. So being able to move this and resize it is pretty important. I actually want to be able to move this widget as well, and the health bars. So you right click on the widget you want to move and say unlock, and then you can click drag it somewhere else. I'm doing a lot of UI work before I do anything else, because one of the big problems the old version had, ignore me going through the wall there, is that it was confusing. And it was partly confusing because of the redesigned mechanics that I put in. But it was partly confusing because of the bad UI, and that's mostly because I didn't have a proper user interface library for Python. This is actually interesting. This happened in the old game too. It's actually I think it's 3 rooms that all extend up to the maximum of their cell bounds, and so they're being merged with neighboring rooms. So if this actually was filled, you could have 3 separate functions jammed into this one giant space. So that's cool. What was I saying? Oh yeah, part of the problem was the UI. So I'm definitely trying to do a much better job at you know, making sure that you can see all the information that you need to at a glance, instead of having to go through lots of menus. But also, when I do start adding menus like stats and stuff, I want them to be intuitive and easy to understand. And the old ones weren't that much because I was limited by what I had to work with, both in terms of using code that I wrote in a rush during a coding competition, and also because I just didn't have the tools in Python to fix the problem. I do have it now in C#, and as you can see, this is actually running fairly slowly in terms of frame rate. Part of that's fraps, but it's usually double that. If I turn off the smooth shadows, you'll see that it apparently went down. That's interesting. Huh. Anyway, it should be faster. It is faster now. That was weird. Yeah, I haven't done any optimization of the rendering yet. I do intend to do that. Obviously, this resolution, the resolution for YouTube is upscaled to 720p. This is 800 by 480, which is what I determined was the best resolution to keep in mind to port this to Android and iOS, which I do eventually intend to do. Obviously, I'm going to develop this for PC first, but I did want to keep in mind mobile devices while I was developing. So when I make the transition to mobile devices, I don't have to hack up parts of the game, mostly. I'm not sure how I'm going to deal with higher resolutions in the future. I might just let people pick their own resolution and also add a bit of a zoom to the PC version so you can, pick a higher resolution and have more of the screen, even though anything outside of your light radius is not going to be very useful to see. But at least you could spread the UI out a bit more outside of the functional area of your screen. And you could zoom in a bit to fine tune how much space is taken on the screen by the actual game, that sort of thing. But right now it's just 800 by 480 because I don't have any of that in. As you can see, there's also the in-game menu. This actually new game works, continue, well, obviously works. Options, same as before, and exit to title and quit. See, it works. That was actually very briefly the intro, but it doesn't work when you come back to the menu. Anyway, another new game. Welcome to MidBoss. As you can see, the log actually works because there's 2 entries now. So yeah, there's a lot to think about. I need to think about art, how animated do I want this camera? Do I want the camera to switch to the enemy when they attack you? I'm probably going to make that an option. Just lots and lots of UI work. And the big problem with developing this right now is I've got another 3/4 of a year before I graduate college. So the problem is right now that I have sporadic time to work on this. If I could devote my full time to this, I would have it at the state that the old one was in a month or so. Unfortunately, I don't, so it might be a couple of months before this is actually properly playable. So yeah, not sure what else to say. Oh yeah, I do intend to do some actual dev blogging as well on the side. The Project Drake blog, which is also rapidly turning into my personal blog. I've got a link in the description if you want to go look at that. That'll be more of a technical thing for other developers to learn how I make games, even though that might not be the best way to do it. Apparently there's some interest in that. This is actually a really interesting corridor. I guess what's happening is that it's connecting from this part of the room and making an L shape up to this connection point, and then it's connecting to another corridor here with another L shape, and you get like this weird bendy twist in it, which is kind of interesting actually. Yeah. Emergent level design. It's kind of like gameplay except for random level generators. But yeah, that's not going to be very interesting for users themselves. Do I have anything else to say? Not really. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you later. Bye bye.